And we're live, Quarter Life Critics. Today is April 17th, and I'm sitting here today with my best friends, Patrick.
What's up?
Hey, Grant.
Yo.
And today, like all days, well, as a first introduction, we want to apologize. We went on a little hiatus. I think it's been a month now. A whole month. It doesn't feel like a month.
A month of our DMs getting
blown up.
Yeah, filled
People
up,
craving content. I call them the content cravers. It won't get away from us.
Yeah.
But we're back. We're ready. And we're here to deliver an exceptional episode on the only show where we review the very best TV and film the world has to offer. So today, like most days, we have a director who's going to guide us through whatever the hell we're talking about today. You might already know from the title of the show, but maybe you don't. Maybe you're just listening and you're like, I wonder what they're going to talk about. Well, in that case, I'm going to introduce the director. It's not any of these guys. It's me.
Self-intro.
That's right. So I'm going to pass the baton to myself. And I'm going to say, thank you, self. All right, let me kick it off with directing this episode. And today we are going to be finishing. A lot of you hardcore fans, you said, what the hell? You took the month-long hiatus. You reviewed the first 3 episodes of The Curse by Nathan Fielder and others. And then you took a break. You got to finish it. So that's
not only that, we watched 3 and we stuffed in 2 things that weren't The Curse. And then we took a month break. They've been craving this content.
That is true. It's been like 2 months.
Yeah.
And now you're thinking, oh, it was because it was 7 episodes. They had to wait to watch the episodes. That's not the reason. It's not. We're professionals here with other professional commitments that come maybe a little first. So that's not what happened. But today we are going to be finishing The Curse, episodes 4 through 10 of season 1, and what I think is probably the only season of The Curse. And let's jump right into it with our introduction of sorts. So, Grant, why don't you tell me what is The Curse about? What's going on here?
Well, it's about these 2 individuals, Whitney and Asher Siegel. They're newlywed and they're struggling to bring their vision for an eco-conscious housing to the small community of Espanola.
Granted, Latin. It's okay.
I would say it's really Whitney's kind of vision of eco-conscious. I would say Asher's kind of along for the ride. But their efforts are complicated by an alleged curse and eccentrically flawed reality TV producer Dougie, who sees an opportunity in their story. As the series unfolds, the couple finds themselves caught in a mysterious web of ethical and moral gray zones, all while trying to keep their relationship afloat and conceive a child. It's really about these 2 individuals and their kind of lives. So not only are they bringing this vision, of this eco-conscious housing, but they are also trying, they got selected for a show on HGTV. So Dougie is their TV producer, and we follow their story of bringing this show to life.
Well said. Well said.
And I would say,
bravo.
It seems like they're more worried about the show at points than helping the community.
I think they're most concerned about those, making sure it's still Energy Star compliant or whatever the
passive certification.
Yeah. Keeping the passive certification.
They're really good.
That was like, I feel like that was, the most important thing.
You have to be pretty active to keep that passive certification.
That stove. I do a lot of stir fry. He fucked up the stove. Anyways, let's start with this little segment I like to call show business. Now, first, let me ask a preliminary question. How did you This is the first time we've done a TV show in a while, so I want to ask Patrick, how did you consume these last 7? Was it a nonstop binge? Did you pace it purposefully, non-purposefully? What was going on there?
I did like 2, and then I watched maybe it was like 2. How many? 7. So 2, 2, 3.
This was like spaced out.
Yeah, spaced out, and then the final. So they were all grouped until the finale.
Okay. And Grant?
I was pretty good. You know, it was not purposeful, but they definitely paced through where it would be like 1 or 2 kind of a week. And I think the last 2 or 3 were together. The last 2. The first 3 we all watched at once, right? Within a week. And then maybe watched 3 more, and then I think I was stayed there for a long time, and then watched the last 3 or whatever in one sitting.
Okay. As for myself, I consumed this on a international flight to China. So it's very strange. I was surrounded by a group of sleeping people.
Like one after another, like all.
Yeah,
6?
This one was a binge. This one was a binge. It was a heavy
I'm
binge.
curious.
I thought I was into it, and I said, you know what? My sleep schedule is already going to be messed up. Just keep it rolling. If I got the juice in the laptop, keep going.
That is the best way to do it.
I
don't
Mess that
know.
sleep schedule up.
This show.
the sleep schedule stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that is true.
I was gonna say, I don't know if this. I actually kind of enjoyed the pacing of it because I feel like, or maybe I'm getting better at this, but Nathan Fielder and this kind of cringe content. I don't know if I want to call it humor or not. But like Nathan For You, for instance, that's funny. But the way I cannot watch
You can get very
multiple
uncomfortable.
episodes of it. Yeah. And I think I'm getting a little better. But like the Peep Show is a UK show. That's like the same thing where I think I've talked about this before, where it's like I can do it, but not. I have to take a break. Like I get very cringe, and like I actually do cringe. I'm like I can't do this. So luckily I didn't watch all 6 on a flight.
You would have had a.
I don't think I think
insides would have exploded.
I would have just like watched 3 and been like,
Started
laptop's
twitching.
dead now.
3 on the way back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, getting more into the segment, Grant, it seems like you've had these, a general, consistent feeling of uncomfortableness. Did this affect your, attitude towards the show, whether you like it, dislike it, as these last 7 episodes happened?
So first 3, I think, interesting. First episode, like, didn't really like it.
No,
Had to
small
get into
tomato,
it.
cherry tomato.
Then by the 3rd episode, it's like, okay, I get what this is about. And then I think maybe 4 through 7, me and Katie, my significant other, were like, we're into it. We want to finish it. Like we're hooked.
Okay.
We're hooked, and then we got to, I think we watched episode 7 or maybe it was episode 6. And then we just sat on it and we're good for a while.
Okay.
And didn't want to watch anymore. And then we were like, we gotta get through the rest of these.
It's my job.
It's my professional job. So then we forced through. So I'd say it went up and down.
A literal roller coaster. You started at
literal.
the bottom.
Literally.
You went up a little one.
Yeah. Yeah. We
And then
did a
you-
loop. There's a kind of a loop in the middle though.
A thrill part.
Yeah. Well, we went up, peaked, and then
Where your
went
hands
back.
were in the air.
It was like a children's ride. You were like,
briefly.
briefly.
Briefly. And
They went up
Wasn't
a little
enough
bit.
time to put them in. Sometimes you need. By
I
the
just-
time you think, put my hands up. It's
Well,
too
after
late.
the first loop, I was looking ahead and I didn't see any other loops, and then I kind of got a little sad. And there was no corkscrews, except that the end maybe was.
there was a little.
There was some.
There's
The
something
end looked
there.
exciting.
Okay, fair enough. Pat, what about yourself?
What's the question? I was distracted by Grant's.
I know his
theory
roller
about his
coaster.
roller
Now, how did
coaster.
your roller coaster look? If we're saying from the
Merry-go-round,
Sure, from 1 to
bumper
10.
cars.
Honestly, kind of the same. Yeah, I felt like, but I did like it at first because I like.
so you started
making
up
people-
high.
Yeah, I started high, and I think I misspoke because I watched one episode after the first, like episode 4.
Okay.
And I was on 5 for so long because it's like I'm stuck. I don't want to watch it. And then I kind of got into it a little bit in that middle hump, and I was back into it with all the random shit that was happening. But then by 8, 9, even 10, I was like not that into it. So high, low, back up high, and then finish
Back up
low.
there. Okay, so maybe we'll get into why some of those feelings went up and down.
Kind of like the Magnum at Cedar Point.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of hills.
Dude, is that
That
the one
starts high.
Up and down.
Starts high. Is that the one that rattles you to your bone?
It's the one that like your legs hurt so much because you're just up and then down and then like your thighs hurt.
You're going.
Mm.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
And
maybe
it's
I'm
just
thinking
like
of
the railing
pain.
over your thing. You don't have the thing over your.
Yeah,
you
you
just
you
have-
don't
yeah.
have. Yeah.
You're like
I don't like that. And I'm like looking over the side, like
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah, that's not a good roller coaster. They need to get rid of that one.
So, but what does that make the show if I'm using that roller coaster as an analogy?
Well, the roller
They need to
coaster is
get rid
probably
of it.
well respected, and they're not going to get. I don't know.
It's a fine piece of engineering for 1947.
There's others that have left. I don't know, on their way out. I
Top
hope the
Thrill.
dra- Well, that's because that woman.
What? What happened?
Well,
She's
I mean,
she's dead.
no, I don't think she's dead, but I don't know what her you
What
try and
happened?
find information on that.
Vegetable status.
Probably
Did she fly out?
no,
No.
a piece of metal.
No,
hit her head.
Let
Okay,
me set the
paint the
stage.
scene. Let's do a
Let
little
me-
tangent. I
Let's
like
set
this.
the stage. Yeah.
We need a
COVID hits,
tangent banner.
shuts down the world. Epidemic. No fun. No roller coasters. Everything's shut down. But there's a light at the end of this pandemic where things begin to open. And Cedar Point is one of those things. And they say, all right, we need our yearly maintenance to make sure the rides are safe. And someone said,
Hooray!
well, listen to this idea. We have not ran the roller coasters for a year, and we did the maintenance, then it was shut down for a year. So why don't we just do a soft maintenance? Because, it's still maintained. No rides were run. And everyone said, yep, saving money. I like it. Well,
I didn't even hear this part.
they didn't do the full maintenance. So then during, the season, something that would have been caught during a full kind of maintenance cycle was not caught. And someone watching the dragster on the side, underneath the roller coaster, a piece of metal flew out and hit her in the head.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like EMT paramedic video you can see, but I don't think she's doing so hot.
They settled some sort of lawsuit 2 days ago, but
Whoa.
there's never been an interview with her. There's never been any things that have come out because I've been interested. Because even like a couple months after, I was like, "What happened to that woman?" With that, and
Yeah.
I mean that's got to be horrific.
Yeah, I don't know.
I had no idea.
Imagine. Yeah, so
So I think they're
for, like,
replacing.
yeah, I think
Top Thrill too.
because of PR stuff, they're new roller coaster, but it's largely the same. Top Thrill Dragster 2.
The rebranding.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm excited for the new roller coaster, guys. All right.
Don't stand too close.
All right, let's continue on to just a couple different things that I want to talk about. So one of them involves Dougie, and one thing we talked about in the first part of this two-part series on the curse was we were thinking about what Dougie's angle was. and how the camera shots played into things and people were staring at the camera. And Grant had a theory similar to a lot of people on Reddit and online where there was going to kind of be some big reveal or big gotcha in the end where it'd be like meta on meta on meta where maybe Dougie's filmed a whole new show about the two of them, but without their knowledge.
About them making a show.
About them making a show. And that's like kind of, I mean, they kind of went in that direction where, I mean, Whitney's involved in like, hey, let's make it more about our relationship. And then there's some distrust and loyalty issues going on there.
Theory.
Yeah. So that ended up, I mean, not really happening, I would say. I'd say that didn't happen. So why do you think there were choices to film things like that?
I don't know. Like I'm remembering this stuff, and I think the one scene that really stands out is in, I think, the first episode or maybe second. Definitely in the first 3 episodes, there was a scene where like they zoomed all the way out in through the eye hole into a room across the hall.
Yeah,
that Dougie was not in there, and that was never explained. Like, so there wasn't really like that was just like, I don't
just
know
for fun
what that was, but I felt like the footage, it looked like a camera from Dougie. But I think that would have been a smart decision to do something like that. I thought, without getting too much into kind of the verdict of what I think about this show, I think it did stall out quite a bit. I thought this show's themes were pretty obvious and introduced early on and not really expanded upon throughout. I mean, they were pretty much the same theme, same kind of people, same bad marriage. Dougie's sad, I guess, but that's not really resolved or gone into, really. And there's really no resolution about anything. And then the complete absurd ending, which we'll talk about. I thought they could have further explored themes. I felt like you kind of got the idea what the show would be about the first episode, and it didn't really stray from that.
Okay. Patrick, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the camera shots were intended to, just some sort of like ominous, like surveillance state, kind of, like just a theme of like people are watching you and it's not good, some sort of dread. They were slow, dramatic, and usually like, I feel like they were kind of dark. And I don't know.
I think you're on it with, a sense of being watched, kind of these long drawn out. I think it actually plays, this is me guessing, but there's kind of a sense of paranoia, a sense of being watched. And that's kind of the serious, and it kind of sets the tone. But the comedic side of it, I think, is hilarious. Where, I mean, it's like Asher's a cuck. I mean, he likes like watching someone have sex with his wife.
Voyeurist.
Yes, a voyeurist. And I think that plays into that. I'm not sure. One thing I would recommend, you guys probably won't do this, but maybe for our listeners out there, part of the preparation for this this episode was actually the director, Dougie, Benny Safdie. He actually did the series of audience Q&A at the Lincoln Film Center, the Center of Film, Lincoln, typing that in, where they would watch an episode or 2 episodes in an audience, and then he would take questions from a moderator in the audience. And I thought he did an absolute great job of explaining the show, things that are happening, without giving, like, you're not being spoon fed, oh, like, this is what that means, and that, like, you still got to think about it. But the way he explains things is very good compared to, I think they had like Nathan on there once, and he's just kind of making jokes, and you could tell that he's just coming at it from a comedic angle versus there's a lot of thought and with everything in life. There's a lot of thought into everything that's going on there, and I think he what else? No, he did a really good job there. Oh, one thing I noticed too is, and Grant said in the very beginning when he was talking about how there's this cringe aspect to it, and like a lot of the audience members are talking about like cringe comedy, and Benny like never mentions that at all, and it's not because I don't think it's meant to. I don't know if that's the correct word for kind of what's going on. Like it's not intentionally creating like just a weird scenario. It's more focused on like the realistic interactions between people and what might happen in different scenarios, and it's not as forced as a bit. It's just kind of it's slow, and that's why it feels weird and awkward in some stages, but it's not intentionally cringe, if that makes sense. But I'd recommend it. They do it for a bunch of different episodes. And
Which one did you watch it on? Which?
I saw it it's on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
I think they started at episode 3 or 4 or something, and they have them for I think every couple they have one for. So
Have you watched anything else by him?
no, not really.
I feel like he has like clout, but I've never really heard of him before this.
Yeah, it was interesting how they linked up just because kind of fans of each other's work, and he was explaining how they both like to deal in this like realism from different like a fictional standpoint and a non-fictional standpoint, and how they came together to create this show. And it was shot in a way where they always knew what the ending was going to be like. They always knew the ending, which we'll talk about in a second. But it was kind of shot in like a 10-hour feature film. So a lot of these things, it's very difficult to, get a character. And all these people are, it's kind of Nathan for you because all the people they're interacting with are not actors. They're just they're local people that are, working at the jean shop or Fernando or whatever, that guy. And everybody who's not like Benny, Whitney, and Asher are just real people in I guess a town named Espanola exists outside of Santa Fe.
They're actual, really? So
Yeah.
they're using non-actors?
They're literally doing what they did in the show when they go up to people and they're trying to street cast people. They did
Interesting.
that in there. So there's a lot of
That's
meta
cool.
things going on, and like because they're dealing with the exact same stuff that the show is dealing with. The literal show that they're making, they're disrupting a community. They're getting people on the street. They have to build these fake glass homes, and it's like that's happening in real life and in the show. So there's a lot going on here. I've been ranting a bit, not ranting, rambling. I mean, he was even talking about how like he was in Oppenheimer and he was like traveling like back and forth between sets and like Oppenheimer and the Curse.
Safety.
Yeah. But let's sorry, I was talking for a while. Any
How
thoughts?
was that a wig then?
From who? I'm not sure. They mentioned that once. I forgot what he said.
It must have been if he was filming Oppenheimer.
Yeah, probably the hair and the
Dang,
outfits
I
and the
thought that was
rings,
real.
I did too.
them
That was
curls.
nice. Yeah.
He was just, he was looking good. It was funny too because he was saying, I mean, you put on all those clothes and those rings and like you become that guy. Like you start talking with your hands more.
Yeah.
People start like looking at you differently, kind of like in a more authoritative way. Like you do that. And so it was, but then he feels ridiculous. I mean, you got like 5 finger rings on.
And a wig.
And a wig and a
Wig.
weird $1,000 jacket.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. you guys want to? My quick little game that I had here was, I know we're IMDb boys, GPQ patented review, but I wanted you guys, without looking, to maybe guess what the Rotten Tomatoes, our competitor, the score is. Now, there's actually two. Yeah, there's two things. There's the tomato meter and the audience
Critics.
score.
Yeah, critic score and audience score.
So, and it's 0 through 100%, I think, is 0. So, Patrick, do you have any ideas what the professional critics would say about this versus the audience?
I think it's a tough question. I'm gonna go with the layman like it more, with a 72,
Okay.
and the critics have a 55.
Wow.
Okay.
I was thinking
for it.
critics 72, the layman people
The
30,
layman.
30%.
Okay. Grant's a little. He's on. I think Grant's more correct. The layman, they're up to 42%. Still looks like a rotten popcorn or just a bucket pushed over. I think that's supposed to be. But the critics, the professionals, 94%.
Yeah.
94 for The Curse. Just to give you a little food for thought there.
Snooty. Highbrow.
Highbrow. A lot going on here. All right. Continuing with our show business segment. Let's make it a little bit more lighthearted. I wanted to talk about, this is a comedic show after all, guys. What was the funniest thing that you laughed at? The funniest scene? You were sat there. An audible noise came out of your mouth. That you had to constrain yourself. You said, "Oh my God, this." What was that for you, Grant?
I don't know. Mine involves the finale, so I don't want to say too. Or should I just?
You could explain the scene. We
Okay.
could, yeah.
The scene is Asher's in trouble.
Yep.
He needs help, and
He needs a
Whitney
hand.
is in labor. She needs help.
Yep.
And she's going to the hospital. She gets like what are they called, doulas?
Dula.
Yeah, to like help him, and then she gets on the phone with Dougie for help.
Yes.
To go and help Asher, and I just thought it was her. She's like, "Go, Dougie, go!" I'm like, "You gotta go, Dougie."
Go, Dougie, go. You were hollering.
Yeah.
You said, "Oh my God."
I thought the last, I was laughing a lot. My honorable mention runner up was from the last one too. I forget who they had. They had like a new contractor, and they what
Freckle?
like it was at the end where they were like they need a thermostat installed or something, right?
Yeah. Well, they
Yeah.
had. Yeah. I think.
For the baby, and then
They had to
they
hide
get
it.
installed, and they're like they're not supposed to know about it, or it ruins the passive or whatever. And then it was the guy's worker, like Whitney was like, "You can't tell anyone, like this is serious." And then he's like, "I'm telling everybody." It was like she freaked out.
Yeah.
And then he goes up to Asher after. He's like, no, yeah, he's fired right
He's
now.
fired. I'll get
Yeah,
rid
he's
of
fired.
him right
I've
now.
got rid of him. And the guy is just like, "I'm telling everybody," like he was making a joke.
That was good.
Yeah, that was right too.
Patrick, did you have one?
Mm-hmm. So Whitney and Asher are going over to Abshir, the father of the curse.
Yes.
And what's that? It smells delicious in here. What is he cooking? Some ethnic hot dogs.
that was from
And-
yeah.
And Whitney she's like, "Oh, with rice?" And he's like, "No, water in buns." He's like a Somalian guy who's whack, and then she's like, I love that cookout style. Like, just whatever you say, I'll agree with and make it racist.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was. I mean, yeah, her kind of one-off comments in any sort of scenario are really like, damn. But you also know people. I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah.
know people.
they dig like they both these characters, well, a lot of characters, but mainly Asher and Whitney on the show, they like dig their own graves all the time. They just keep on digging, and then you're like, dude, just lay off, and then they keep on digging, and you're like, they make it worse and worse, and they have like no, seemingly zero shame. Like,
They're like dogs. They just like keep biting at their like wound or whatever.
yeah, like the whole casino like footage thing, that, okay, maybe not humor, but you cannot tell me that's not like cringe or like, oh my god, like, it's, I guess maybe it's just stress, but
It's slow. Yeah, it's like a slow build-up.
It's just uncomfortable.
Where they even said in the interviews that they sped it up. They sped things up. He's like, you're not gonna believe this, guys, but we like like sped up the original pace.
wow.
I think some of my favorite scenes, God, there's a lot. I mean, God, they're giving the house to Abshir. He doesn't care. I think my favorite way, if I did have to pick some, I think runner up goes. I don't know why I keep thinking about it, but like when Asher's writing like his comebacks, like, you know, you get into like an argument or something, you always wish like, damn, I should have said that. I should have went back. He's writing the worst ones ever, where like, you want to fuck the whistleblower's wife? Like, yeah. That one's been coming up. But the one I actually probably audibly laughed at the most was when it was Bill. He comes back to they're doing the bowling scene, and he comes back and he's like, you know what, I'm sorry, it's not you, it was that other guy. And then he's trying to put on a tough guy act for Whitney, and he's like, you know what, it was me. Yeah, I did it. You should be ashamed. And then Bill's like, you're a fucking tool. And he's like, you know what? I am a tool. Tools fix things.
That was cringe. That was like,
Will you ever remind me, like, I'm like remembering
Sure.
this, but what was the scene? What was he owning up to?
He thought they didn't know who leaked that footage. So he eventually gets the footage from the computer, and that's why he wasn't talking to him, because he thought Asher did it in the hardware store.
Yeah.
And they're like,
but
oh,
then
no,
there was
the
like
other
another guy at
yeah,
the company
he's
or
like,
whatever.
"Oh, yeah, sorry, man. Like, yeah, I'm sorry. I
Shoulda
well,
trusted
sure, I
you."
thought-
And that
I
was
thought
right-
yeah, and then he's like, I did. Yeah, that was.
And that was
The
right after
pussy.
he tried to stand up for something else. I can't remember what he was doing.
The
But-
Fernando thing in the house.
Yeah, and it
Which was,
didn't go well.
you don't
So this
talk to my wife like that.
So this was like him, like with the comebacks almost too. Like, I could do it different.
When
Why was
he
he upset with the worker? Like,
he kept bringing a gun, and they were like, don't bring a gun. And he's like, the gangbang, like, they're just stealing all of your genes.
Yeah.
You're bringing this into our town. And he said something to Whitney, and Asher made a big stink about it. Dude, him in the comedy class.
That was like,
Wow.
oh, like no one said that. No one responded.
Just,
Like,
you're just, the one thing you're supposed to do is not make noise. And then he gets like the comedy teacher too. That was a street cast local. He actually was just the comedy guy in the town, which is funny. But okay, those were great scenes, guys. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've been kind of touching upon this a little bit. People, their flaws. This is a show about identity. How your actions match what you're thinking versus how the morality of those actions. So, but who's the worst, man? Who's the fucking worst? lot of flaws out there, but like, who takes the cake? Patrick.
Maybe
Or did it
Whitney.
change? Did you think? Asher's a dick, and oh no, he's just a pussy.
I think. I don't know, man. It's pretty tough. I would have to go with Whitney just because, like, so fake. I don't think she. The only time I feel like you ever really get the real sense of her is when she is, like, literally the environment, like, pushing for some stuff that no one cares about and nothing matters. Or trying to make her fame, like, bring up her own clout by making fun of her husband on television. That's, like, what gets her Jimmy's rustled. And I feel like those are some bad qualities.
But do her means justify the end? Where she does seem to be the most environmentally concerned, trying to push
maybe.
for social good rather than money at first or at times.
It's true. It's true.
She doesn't
But she's just like
cut corners.
stupid.
She's
Like it's like ignorant and like oblivious to like reality. So like while she has these idealistic good, it's not in any way like going to happen because she's blind to her own shortcomings.
yeah, I think one thing in the show that they talked about too, and I think I agree with. I actually don't even know what they talked. They talked about a whole lot of shit, but I mean, people are. It's three dimensions going, even like 4 dimensions, whatever. I mean, there are so many conflicts in. There could be such a difference in how you think and act one day versus the next day. And depending on who you're talking to, like that makes you a bad person or that makes you a good person. And it's tough. You do feel like a general sense of, oh, these people are bad people. I don't like this. I hate them. But like, they're just real people. And you just, I think generally most people have a lot of flaws. So I don't know. What do you think, Grant?
You know, I was gonna say Whitney or Asher, but I'm just looking at the characters. You know who was insufferable? Who I
Sheer?
hated? Rachel Ray. She was so annoying. She was just like I didn't even know that was like. I guess I don't know that much, but I was like, she's horrible. I mean, I
Like,
think it's
who would
played
watch
up
the
for
Rachel Ray
this.
show?
Yeah, it was just like, I don't know, the way she like treated them was, I don't know, just I guess it's like, you know, everyone's just kind of shitty to each other on the top and the entertaining, like whatever. She didn't give a fuck about them. But she was not my favorite. I thought she had much more negative quality. I feel like with Whitney and Asher, like they're kind of so far like up their own asses that they don't know how insufferable they are, but they're not like intending to really do evil, you know.
Yeah.
I think they're
But Rachel Ray's cooking.
I didn't like Rachel Ray. I thought she was intentionally being
I
really,
mean,
very rude.
I don't think. Yeah, we're definitely not the target demographic of that show. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I think they're, you know, that I think the whole thing is showing that like these fucking stupid rich people like think they're making a difference.
Not.
They're making everything
Meatballs.
worse.
At least her parents were kind of funny.
Her parents were funny.
Her
They just
parents were-
embraced it. They were
Yeah.
like, you know what? they were like, they evicted that one dude.
The
and,
Ripper.
like, the Ripper. He's the Ripper. Look at what he did. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
and they
she's
like have to live in that shitty ass Section 8 like
They're always
housing
doing,
'cause
like,
of
the
lawsuit.
and we're like for a PR like reason.
I think they were like legally like had to or something.
Mm-hmm.
They said.
Yeah. I don't know.
I thought they had a show. I thought it was like for a sense of community. Like they had a show. They wanted to be there.
I think
To
they were
say-
court ordered.
Yeah, I think there was some
Oh.
requirement to be there, and they're like, "Ah, whatever.
But it's like it was like 1 week out of the month or something, right?
Yeah, it's something short.
Yeah.
What about we talked a little Abshir.
What about
Whitney,
you? Did you say?
well, I'm thinking out loud here. What about Abshir?
He was gonna be my most good, I think.
This
think
is
he's a good
why I
dad.
brought him up, because what why would you say he's your most good?
I feel like he always seemed pretty level headed. He's dealing with these crazy people. And he just, I don't know, did fine. I don't really care about the, slumming it, whatever, not paying rent.
Mm-hmm.
I think that probably, I don't know. I
You
feel
think
like he was
there's
just a good dad. I don't know. Liked his interactions with Nala, like when they were Benny was changing the smoke detector, and freaked out, and he was, I don't know, just had a measured, calm reaction and like took control of the situation.
He was very flat, I feel like. I mean,
Mhm.
not in a good or bad way, just kind
Mm-hmm.
of accepting what was happening.
He was one of the like 4 actors then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I mean, he
5,
kind of
maybe.
got his cuz he was the Captain Phillips guy.
Mm-hmm.
And the Captain no. And now he's here. Which is some fan brought up, like, I guess in some Nathan, it was some deep cut where like in some Nathan For You episode, Nathan brings up like, oh, I wonder whatever happened to that Captain Phillips guy, and like now he's in his show. I don't think it was on purpose. Nathan was like, I don't remember that.
Is that what he said?
I don't remember exactly
How
what he
much
said,
did you
but he
watch
wasn't.
like interviews with them?
I watched all the interview from probably like 4 or 5 hours of interviews. I mean, it's all sped up too. I mean, 1.5, you can't listen to that stuff. Normal. Or 1.25. But yeah, I think I would agree with you, Pat, that most people would probably say he is like the most good. I think the issue is always that teetering like gratitude line
Mm.
where some things make sense. You're like, oh, he doesn't have to be like thankful or begging or super thrilled that they're fixing whatever the stuff, but it kind of builds and builds and builds and builds, and then it's like, here's your house, like it's yours. And he's like, wait, can we make that quicker? Can we but I
They
think it's
aren't
a
the
lot of-
most reliable like people though. Like
no, and he's probably, I mean,
the first interaction is like Asher like giving his daughter money and then like or like not giving her money. Like it's like
he took it
it's like-
back.
yeah, it's fucked up. Like I don't know, like that. You gonna trust this guy with a house? You wouldn't even give your daughter like $100 or whatever.
Bucks. It's
20
true.
bucks, yeah. There
Yeah,
weren't
I
a lot
think-
of good people. Like it's the pickings are pretty slim, I think, too.
Yeah, I think everyone's got a lot. It's just like kind of what you care most about. If you
Mhm.
think showing respect and gratitude and being thankful for things, maybe you think Abshir. Maybe if you're concerned about relationships, environment. Maybe you think
go for Whitney.
Asher's. Well, maybe you think Asher's the worst because he's kind of cutting corners to save a buck, at least for part of it, and then maybe you care if you get drunk driving, drinking. Dougie's in there. It's always like if he's just drunk driving. That's when you pull out the breathalyzer. You go. You need to calm down. Oh shit. Yeah, just a little thought experiment. We're running.
Grant, who do you think the most good was?
Almost good, Grant.
I don't know.
It's a tough question.
Let's move on to. So what about that finale? So about the that finale, not the finale. God damn, Quinn. Episode 10, final episode, a very dramatic and different episode. So spoiler alert. We have the 10th episode where Asher becomes fixed to the ceiling in their passive home, seemingly due to some pressure differences in their house.
Probably
passive
that
home.
thermostat wasn't installed properly or something.
Yeah, probably that. And long story short, he eventually flies up to a tree where the firemen come and try and rescue him, and he refuses to let go. So they cut off the branch, and he flies into outer space and
It's kind of like the Harry
dies,
Potter,
ascends.
the ant gets too big and floats away.
I haven't seen Harry Potter. But yeah, I
Haven't seen any
agree.
Harry Potters? I actually don't remember that scene.
I don't remember.
I've
I mean, I've seen maybe one or two, and I was
Not
That was-
important.
not important.
Sounds pretty.
Flies up,
important.
and while at the same time Whitney goes into labor, has the baby, sees her baby, smiles.
I really thought
That's
that
the
baby
end.
was going to be a demon.
I really thought when they were doing like the post production for Rachel Ray, and they were talking about like the mics and stuff, they did a weird cut to the theme, like the curse, whatever, and I thought it was gonna be, like the show that we were talking about that Grant was like the secret cut,
the secret
you know?
shot.
Because you guys had said that about like made it ominous about the last episode. I'm like, oh, they were right. What's gonna happen? And I was like, what the fuck is going on? This is so weird.
Now, did anything come? I mean, did you have any predictions? I mean, I don't think anyone predicted that he would fly into the sky.
No, I had
like
that down. I had that written down.
Damn, Grant, that's why we hired him.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
That's
First
pretty-
episode. You couldn't tell. First 5 minutes in, I knew that was happening. Finale.
That's
job,
pretty
Grant.
impressive. Yeah.
Good job. You know.
Well, that's the end of our episode.
Yep. I'll see you later.
Thank you guys. Yep. That's how it's done.
Quinn, you watched all those director cuts and you didn't even come up with this? Are you stupid?
No, well, I actually watched all of them after. I didn't watch them
Mm.
following. That would have been interesting. I think I found out about them later. But no, the only thing on my bingo card that I had that I don't know if it counts was I thought Asher was going to die somehow,
He's dead.
which I think he's dead in that world, because they didn't mention this in the audience, but a lot of Jesus religious themes going on. I mean, they're talking about religion, and specifically in the scene where like he's picking up those nails and he like sticks them in his hand and like squeezes them. I thought that was a little
Gross.
Little Christ-esque.
over heavy-handed,
Yeah.
as far as like Christ figure goes. And like then I started thinking about it more, and I'm like, oh, he's kind of like giving away all his belongings. They're like getting rid of the house, and he's trying to ascend.
And
I
he
guess
did get like towards the end, he was like when they couldn't really afford to give away the house, it sounded
No.
like. He's like, oh,
doesn't matter. It's me and you, baby.
like, yeah. What really matters in the world? But it never felt genuine at all.
No. And there's some.
Like,
I
he
mean,
was
reading.
just trying to make Whitney happy.
He does call out in his like I think that's the end of episode 9 where he does that crazy they show him that the cut,
Mm-hmm.
the new cut, and he comes back and he starts clapping, and in his speech to her he's mentioning how like, you know what, if we were never meant to be, you know, one day I would just fly up and like leave this world or
Mhm.
something.
You
Very
wouldn't even have to tell
on
me.
point, yeah, to what happens in the next episode. but no one's really thinking he's going to.
Yeah,
Uh,
I read something that was like it was like Whitney's fantasy of their life and like the end of their story, but he committed suicide and never walked back into the he never like came back and said those things in episode 9. He just left and like either actually died or like just never came back to her. I was like, that kind of makes sense with me.
Like this was like a something,
A
an alternate reality.
fan theory
Yeah, and this was just like her like dream scenario.
to get on the Rachel Ray show together.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Making sense of it.
while
Yeah.
she's while she's going into labor too.
Maybe she isn't even pregnant.
Right? I kind of
Maybe
like the
not.
theory. I kind of like the idea that she's in labor and maybe in and out of it, and maybe this is a effect of
Fever
that.
dream.
Yeah, a fever dream. Well, I kind of took it as literal. I took it pretty literal. I didn't take it as a dream. I took it as reality, and it was my favorite episode in the series for sure. I thought it was dynamic, interesting. Had you like on the edge of your seat, really thinking. I really thought she was gonna have like a very cursed baby, like
A
some
demon.
demon child. Yeah. So I thought this was by far and away the strongest episode of the series. And without going into too much, I just think there is, I'm gonna save it for later. But by far and away, favorite episode.
Favorite episode.
Very strong.
It was a cool episode. I thought so as well. And I liked the very last line or something where they were talking about, they're like, oh, they were filming that HGTV show. Wonder how they did that.
Yeah.
It's very meta. I liked the Benny breakdown. It was just kind of. I mean, I think it made sense. Pat's shaking his head. What don't you like about? You think that?
I just didn't like the episode. I don't
Oh,
like.
okay.
Sorry, you. I
That-
didn't want
that's
to rain
okay.
on your parade. You
No,
can
no,
keep
no,
going.
no. Oh, it's
Um,
a show about discussion.
I don't know. It just
Didn't
is
feel
like,
genuine. Didn't feel right.
just didn't- you like. I feel like my main gripe with the show is like they went too many like zany ideas, and there wasn't like a focal, like kind of what Grant was talking about with like they never really like made it past like these initial archetypes of characters, and they were in this like plot and they like didn't really do anything with it. And then I felt like this was like a like a smoke trick. They just like threw some smoke on the bomb. They're like, look, we don't even like. I'm gonna fly away. Like it just like I don't know. It was
Well,
cool. It was cool, but like I didn't like it as a finale. I was like felt like a waste of my time.
I think to give it a little bit more context, let's kind of combine this with our next segment. This kind of ties in. What's the curse? The show's name, The Curse. We tried to answer this question in the first episode. I think it's a lot to do with unexplainable things in life and trying to grasp reality and events. And I think similar on like a micro scale, you have all these events in the show where like the chicken's missing and
The chicken's
there's-
appearing.
the chicken's appearing and like weird things that if like how do you handle these things you can't explain. And the finale takes that and blows it up by 1,000 and just gives you this the most ridiculous scenario ever in a very realistic way. And you go, the viewer's like, what? I mean, what the hell? Some people are gonna hate it. I mean, and think it's all a dream. Other people are taking it very literally, and that's what happened. And I think it's kind of a reflection of what the curse is. What
Maybe because I thought it was a self-fulfilling prophecy, and I'm like, that doesn't jive with.
I mean, it's kind of like religion and mysticism. I mean, some people could just outright deny it completely. I mean, a lot of people do that. I mean, you just say, this is stupid, this is dumb. Why? I mean, obviously this was fake and not real and didn't make any sense. So why would you put any stock into it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, one thing that
yeah.
you said, watching the interviews, you said they had this finale in mind and
Yes.
worked backwards, and I think it felt like that in a bad way.
Okay.
I think they had a very solid episode,
Mm-hmm.
and they struggled to create content to lead up to that episode to make it fulfilling. I thought the episode almost could stand alone, or
Like 4 episodes.
yeah, max.
Yeah, I think I mean, I don't know if they knew it was 10 episodes, but I think it started small. It was a small, idea. Hey, let's film this. Could be like feature length film, and kind of grew into a larger thing, but maybe some gaps in there.
Mm-hmm.
So what is any other thoughts on what the curse is or means?
It's having a really good finale and not knowing how to get there.
Yeah, I don't know how much, like, how deeply I can read into this, like, a little girl did literally curse him, admitted
curse you.
to it, and
Any
and then
curse
it kind of
someone.
became like the finale was, I mean, I very much enjoyed it, but it was
All right, so-
absurd compared to the rest, right? Like,
what if I said, instead of what's the curse, what does the ending mean? Like what
okay,
what is it trying to leave you with?
I don't,
Any,
that's
ideas or
I think
thoughts? Yeah.
I think it is so absurdist. That's another reason. It's like, if you have absurdity, like if you read a book that was based in reality and this was the ending, I think you would be extremely upset and felt like they just
Feel
fucked with
cheated.
you. Yeah, cheated. Because you spend all this time establishing to your audience what, the way, even with fantasy is not the real world, right? It's fantasy. It's a fantastical world, but you have to, within your own world that you create as a writer, have to stick within those rules. You can't break your own rules in your own world, right? They very much did, right? Like, I don't even really, the finale doesn't really, I can't even try to relate it back to the previous 9 episodes. It doesn't like, I don't see I don't see a theme connecting the curse this last episode to the other ones, because they're so different in, like, they're different worlds, right? Like, to have one extremely supernatural event occur really rips it out of the rest for me. So it doesn't, I don't know how to make sense of it. I mean, I enjoyed it, but as a whole, as part of the whole, it's like, I don't even know if I can make sense of the other episodes in this context. Like, the curse doesn't seem like an underlying theme to me with this
I
what
think
I'm
that, there are a lot of things, different themes kind of overlapping. Whether it's super, like, mysticism, religion, supernatural based, or there's another side of it that's like relationships, and then there's another side that's
Reincarnation. Like, Asher will be the baby.
there's reincarnation, but there like also like identity and like what your actions say about you. Just like the divergence between actions and intention. So I don't think the flying up to space and dying there has a lot to say about some of the other like the themes of identity. But I don't know. Did you agree or not agree with some of the stuff I was talking to Pat about how it's just on a larger scale? It's an unexplainable event, much like these mini things that might happen in your life. Like in reality, maybe something shows up in your life and you don't know how to, like, how did that get there? Or maybe there is some sort of religious experience that you just can't explain as a human.
Like getting a new
Like,
roof and then lightning hits streets.
And then a tree hits it. Like that's
Are you cursed?
unfathomable. I might be cursed.
Yeah, but it's just so like I wish they would have played that more than in making concrete other things that happen. Like
His chicken disappeared, bro.
That's one thing throughout the
Then the
8
chicken was
episodes,
on the sink.
And it wasn't like and it
His
wasn't
life was
ever,
going to shit.
Yeah, and it was never like substantiated. It was never shown.
Are you
like,
kidding me?
It was
I don't
never,
know if it
raw
needs to,
chicken on
I
your
don't know
sink?
if it needs to
But-
be
but
as like in
I
your
think
face. It's just
no,
kind
but
of like
I
in the
think-
back of your head.
I guess I think for to go this extreme where it's like super substantiated to an absurd level, I think we could see some real supernatural like things happening where you see him set down something and you know,
But that would be
and it
establishing
tells-
truth. That would be giving you a hint, a cheat code. You would say, "Oh, it makes sense
Foreshadowing.
to me now
Yeah,
because
yeah,
there is supernatural in this universe. There's supernatural elements at play. Like, oh, I get it now. I can understand it. No, but I think the whole point is there are things you don't understand. Like you don't know how to make sense of it because it is just one large thing happening at the very end of a show that is completely based in reality. So you're struggling. It's like,
Well, it's called The Curse.
yes,
And so I'm assuming the little girl curse, this is part of the curse. This is all part of the little girl. So like if at the end of the day he is cursed and he dies because of the curse, I think it doesn't hurt to show some other instances that are substantiated of him being cursed. I think it hooks the viewer.
but
I
in
think
a
this-
traditional sense, if you're fantasy sci-fi type realm, but this is I think the whole point is it's meant to confuse you. I mean, literally, like in the very end, you're like, how did they do that? Like, what? I don't get it. Like, I'm confused, and it's kind of just whoever. You're the type of person that wants that truth based in facts and reality. You're like, it needs another instance of making sense to me, while other people could just blindly believe something if they don't have. Even if they don't have substantial proof.
So I get,
Like
but so
religion.
what's the point? Like, I still don't get your argument of why have one large supernatural event versus, hinting and showing that there is supernatural.
Well,
play
if you hint and you
throughout.
show, you're admitting what's going on. You're
What do you
showing
mean?
truth.
Who's admitting? The audience,
Viewer,
The
creators,
creator.
designers.
The creator is admitting that there's, but
You're saying-
but they do admit that they're supernatural. Then
At the end, once it's already like,
Sort of.
once
I mean,
they
it's
hit
one-
you with the big thing.
it's like everyone's
we
kind of
still-
talking about something, and then something crazy happens at the end. You don't even know if it's still real. I
Yeah,
mean,
the curse. I think it's like a TikTok thing. Like it doesn't. She doesn't even know what she's saying.
so you don't think he flew away?
I think he flew away. I mean,
I
I
think it was
think it's the whole point of
fever
the
dream.
conversation. It's like I don't even know what to think. I guess he flew away because he flew away because he flew away in the show. Like as a matter of fact, he flew away because he flew away.
I think he loved Whitney so
But-
much, and his heart was shattered.
But it's interesting just seeing the reaction, because you got, matter of fact, you got Pat who's like, I was leaning towards this whole it's all a dream, and then Grant's on this, well, it's supernatural, and I wish they would have showed more supernatural.
Yeah.
So I think it's just interesting to see. I don't think there is a right answer, like most vague, ambiguous, artsy fartsy shit. Just makes you think. Makes you think, and it's funny. Flew up in the fucking sky and died.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very enjoyable episode. It's just I think I don't know.
All right.
I'm still upset with it, but we'll talk
So
more.
they
Oh,
were
it's your favorite
subverting the
episode.
expectations.
Or upset with the show. All right. Second to last. I know we're running over. Wow, we're having a great old time here. I wanted to put a quick review as we transition into our review called "They Said It Best." We're going to give someone online a shout out of a review that you liked, and we're going to read it out loud, and which sort of hopefully encapsulates how you feel. But they said it best, so why not let them say it? So why don't you start us off, Pat?
I got you. Ready?
I'm ready.
This review was titled Cringe-tastic.
On who and
IMDb.
on where? Okay.
And I'm getting there.
Username?
This is the best part.
Okay.
Username?
Sorry.
Let me read this closely. Anxious gay horse on ketamine.
Okay.
This is self-deprecating self-parody at its best. It is about false charity, double standards, pretend compassion. It is about, this is a wild card here, be ready, anxious gay horse on ketamine. Just throwing it out there on IMDb. It is about the worldwide scheme known as climate change, which in the effect, the money-spinning scam, which leads to many businesses being created based on the scam. One of them being shown here. That's not sure where that came from, but I do honestly agree with the rest of that. But that's a wild card that's the ketamine talking, I think, or something. It is mocking a culture which has become a cartoon cutout of itself, and it does it brilliantly. It is funny and so second or third degree that might seem a lot rectilinear / whatever people reviewing the series cannot see any of it. They may look at surface value and see nothing. The opposite of those panels in the neutral houses, that too is hilarious. Really good humor is like this. On some levels, it is invisible and it works deep down or like an aftertaste, not in your face. It dances around the back of your mind like a tempo dancer. The pace is at times a little slow, which increases the awkwardness. Not that it needs even more increasing. Overall, very clever and subtle, and says a lot about the 2020s in some circles. It is no masterpiece, but for me, a good 7. Like on it, like a pretty thorough review with some weird conspiracy shit in the middle. So I'm like, that's an interesting take from Anxious Gay Horse on Ketamine.
But I mean, that's some dedication. You make that your username, post on IMDb a lot. Here, I'll go next. I'm gonna read another IMDb review named "Clearly a Very Polarizing Show" by Brajesson, Brajesson. This entire series was phenomenal. It's clearly not for everyone, nor is it an easy watch. The scenes are meticulously crafted to make you feel unsettled and uncomfortable. However, it is done in a way that feels very natural, like those could be awkward people you know in real life. The soundtrack is incredible, and the composer stated that the goal was to create a soundtrack that did not tell the viewer what to feel in the scenes, but to almost be a character on its own. I don't know if that's true. Mixed into the bizarre story is a lot of commentary on how detached from reality rich and privileged people can be. Highly recommended for anyone looking for something different and thought-provoking. And that didn't... He put it as a 10 out of 10 review. I didn't feel like a 10 out of 10 review from the content, but I agreed with the chunk of text there. So, yeah. And Grant, you wanna?
Yeah, I'm gonna need your
Yeah.
guys' help though. I'm gonna read it, and it's a Reddit comment, so
Okay.
there is no rating. So
Okay.
we're gonna have to come up with a 4 out,
Okay. Something
out
out of 10?
Yeah, something
All
out of 10. And the Reddit thread was, is the curse really worth watching?
Oh, okay.
And this is by TweeUp. He said, or she, they.
Yeah.
I'm going to say no. As a big Nathan Fielder and Emma Stone fan, this series was a miss for me. It is the first Nathan Fielder, or Emma Stone for that matter, work I've seen that I would not recommend to anyone. That said, it has a lot of artistic merits. It has a lot to say, and maybe you will find those things interesting if you care to analyze little details about the story. Personally, I disagree with some of what the writers had to say, but it is what it is. I still had a good time thinking why the writers made such and such characters say this or act that way while I was watching. But honestly, there's a lot of content out there nowadays, and I think the only reason people watched this show to begin with was because they were curious about Fielder or Safdie. Let me just say now, if you guys are the reason you're watching the series, if those guys are the reason you're watching the series, just save yourself 8 to 9 hours and skip this one. Maybe their next production will be better.
Maybe a 4.
Damn. Mic
4.
drop. Yeah, I would say either a 3 or a 4 on that one.
Yeah, that sums up kind of. I
Sounded like you saying it.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, like if it wasn't Safdie or Fielder, I don't think it would get any real recognition. I think they're very much riding their names. And it's
Doesn't
still
seem like a show
interesting,
that could
it's
make
still
money.
artistic. No, it's still, yeah, because it's. I mean, then that's why it's like you can say what you say about, oh, they're subverting expectations till the end, and then the finale is, whoa, the reveal, but it is what it is, and it's not, there's not real supernatural. Like that to me is just okay, so you're wasting and you're not using the time of the 9 hours before of the episodes. Like what's the point? Like what are we doing here? Because I think they haven't expanded, the first maybe 2 episodes you see every theme and the characters don't deepen, maybe Dougie a little bit. And then it's really just the same. That's why it feels like a Nathan For You like TV show, because it's like the same scenarios, just different settings. It's like the same feeling of awkwardness and like, oh, these people suck. They're so unaware. And it's literally that for 9 hours of just different settings of these people act like, and then they do a massive total switch up at the end. Like it just feels like those type of things that you watch performance art at a modern art museum. Ooh. And you're like, is this artistic or is this just lazy? Like, are they gonna push the artisticness on me because they're just doing some weird shit? And so now I have to come up with a reason of why it's artistic, because they're really not. They're not doing that hard. Yeah, I don't know.
I think they nailed the point then. Grant says, what's the point? That's how I feel about life sometimes. What's the point? There's no point.
You don't need 10 hours to do that.
You get a whole lifetime.
100 years.
Hit my mic. All right, well, Grant's fired up here at the end. Got him good. All right, let's really quickly, guys. I think there's a time for something. I think it's the GPQ patented review where we decide whether the true rating is over or under the IMDb rating. And I'm gonna make this easy for you guys. There's a bunch of episodes, and they all have different ratings. Not a lot of votes, but the average of all of them, all the last 7, come out to a solid 8.0. So. Who wants to go first? Grant.
I'll go first. Under.
Patrick.
I'm gonna go under as well.
And I'm gonna go over because.
Oh dang!
I
over 8.
I enjoyed it a lot, and I really enjoyed the commentary afterwards, and. I found myself
but that you can't expect your viewers to watch 5 hours of interviews to make. I understand. It worth.
I was gonna continue on this.
Sorry.
The feeling I felt on the plane I don't know if I didn't want to put this in the beginning when I was binging it, but I was excited. I was like, let's start the next episode. Let's go. I'm in it. So I think I hit that same high maybe as you did, Grant, somewhere in the middle, wherever it clicked somewhere, and I rode that to the end. So I appreciate it for different reasons too. So after the commentary, I got more of like kind of more of a dramatic understanding, but I just thought it was funny too. In general, a lot.
So
I
what,
don't know,
like, what's
see a
the
lot of
what's the
funny
mess?
things.
What's like the deepness that you just said it's so good because it's meta because it's like just
It's realism. It's dealing with identity. It's dealing with like how do I deal with life and unexplainable things, also juxtaposed with just hilarious situations, funny lines, funny characters. So I don't take it as the most like deep, thought-provoking thing ever, but it's kind of like a Nathan for you
you think it
thing
was
where you really think it like the reason why it's so great is because the ideas kind of like actually make sense. You're like, damn, I've like that's not like some weird just dumb business idea where you're scamming someone. You're like, huh, what if we could do that? Like they really make you think about a new idea. Are we gonna say?
the passive house? It's the
What
new
about the
idea?
passive house?
Is that the new idea? Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, in the Nathan for You, I was making a
Oh.
reference to Nathan for You.
Yeah. No, there is like substance there where you're like, this could work.
It's very creative.
It's very creative loopholes.
Yes.
Yeah. That's that's more enjoyable. So like, what? How are you tying that back to this?
I'm saying, it's the same meta filter put on things where it's not a one-to-one comparison where you're like, oh, it's funny because they have this funny business idea, but a lot of what they're doing happens in real life, and they have these real scenarios, and you
It's like
meet these.
it's
There's
substance.
no
There's-
like. Sure, I mean it's closer to reality than a fictional TV show. I mean, I don't think there is. The plot does kind of fall apart at the end. It's not about like what's happening. It's just about like characters reacting in different scenarios that to me was either funny or that was strange and weird. But
Sure. I think my criticism comes, and a question to you would be, did it need like what was I would look carefully at each episode and see what that episode added, because I think looking closely, at least my impression is a lot of the episodes didn't add much, and they were just more of the same, which to me is a little bit lazy and it's not cut down. I think this would I think I would agree with you, and I would very much enjoy it because I did get into it and I did like the character and I thought it was funny. If they had done a mini series or a movie with the same ending, I think that would have been probably a critically acclaimed success. I think they could have done that, but the fact that I think they not only drew it out, but I didn't feel like there was a lot really anything happened for 9 episodes. Like they established the premise, and then they didn't do much else. As much as we can say that's realism and whatever, I think with the TV show, if you're gonna have 10 episodes, you have to do more than establish the premise and then subvert your expectations. They established the premise and nothing really developed. And maybe they could argue, but do you really need 9 episodes to tell the viewers that nothing developed, and that's part of the message is that nothing's developing? I don't know.
I just think
so.
there's probably it may be worth to streamline some themes and people. I think there's a lot going on that you can't spit like a whole episode. Like an episode following another episode could be about a whole different kind of character or different focus, and probably feels disjointed.
I guess I think even when the episodes were different, it felt like the theme and the message they were trying to portray with that episode ultimately was the same. So it didn't feel that like new or interesting. You're like, oh, here's another perspective of the same, a different rich person who is insecure and shitty and thinks, and not really, and hurting, even though they're trying to help and digging themselves in holes. Like
I see what you mean. I mean, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. What's happening next?
yeah, I just felt like they had a lot of opportunity to develop some plot, and I felt like they fell pretty short on that.
I see what you mean. There's a lot
You
of
know?
characters. And some of them go through changes, and some of them don't. And it does feel it's a slower paced show. I mean, it's
Oh.
slow, and that can really damper your mood when you have limited free time and you just want to watch something that'll.
But when you have unlimited free time and you're just trying to kill time on an international flight, I could see
Yeah.
how it being like good.
I'm just
content,
alone with
right?
my thoughts too. I'm just thinking.
Aren't we all?
Aren't we all? Ain't that the truth? All right. I appreciate the commentary, guys. So we got 2 unders and an over. What's happening next time? And I think I'm gonna ask
Me?
Trick.
No.
Grant? No.
Grant, get out of the
Sit
picture.
down. Sit down. Patrick, who will be our director next? Oh, Grant's gone. Wow. He literally left.
He took it personally.
He's gone. It's just me and Pat now.
The show
Wow.
must go on.
The show
So
must
next
go on. What are we
time-
doing next time, Pat?
He said, wait.
He doesn't wait. It's his device. I can't add myself back. I don't even see you.
You're not even backstage, brother.
We can end it. Let's take Pat. What are we doing next time?
Next time, you guys may have already done this before. Oh,
I just tried to turn off my camera. I clicked stop mic and cam and it just kicked me out.
All right.
They're
We'll
for
talk
dramatic
about
it
this in
stopped him.
performance review. Don't worry.
unreliable.
So
Next time, Patrick. Oh, Grant's focusing on himself.
well, it says Pat Spotlight and it was
You messed it all
me.
up. That's all right.
Someone put me in the middle.
This performance review is just going worse and
It's
worse.
because you came in last. Anyways, Pat, please.
Finally, like I've been trying to say, you guys may have done this before. I apologize if that's the case. But my nominee for next one is a famous movie, No Country for Old Men.
We have not done this before,
No.
but I've always wanted to see it.
Awesome. Have either of you guys seen it?
Nope.
I have not either. I really like the Coen brothers. They did this. It was one of their, less Marvel movies, They kind of made a bunch of money. Violence and mayhem ensue after a hunter stumbles upon the aftermath of a drug deal gone wrong and over $2 million in cash near the Rio Grande. Has an 8.2 and won 4 Oscars and
Wow.
top ranked movie 148.
No
Wow.
country for old men.
Did I see? It's based off of Cormac McCarthy.
McCarthy.
novel, which he did The Road. He's a really good author, so that makes it even cooler.
Should be
I hope
You-
I know
you know,
if they
I
have
always-
natural. What?
No, I always hear this film, and I haven't seen either, so this is probably why. But I think of No Country for Old Men and then Brokeback Mountain, like they're in the same. So I always think when I hear this, I'm like, oh, that's the gay Western movie.
No.
But I don't think this
No.
is the gay Western movie.
No. I think this is like Cartel.
Yeah, this is like very action serious. Well, not that. I'll just stop talking.
I don't know anything about it, but it sounds like Grant knows even less.
It's true.
What's new?
Hope there's no mysticism.
You know what? I might
Supernatural
know.
shit in this.
Are you drinking a Saucy Brewworks
Oh my god.
from the can?
Maybe Astro Destiny,
Does it say Saucy Brewworks?
Immigrant Son.
Ooh, I
All
don't
right,
know.
Grant's
anything.
wrong
I'm
all
out.
night. He really needed that ending tangent to get it wrong. How about you? All right, we're watching No Country for Old Men 2
Yeah,
weeks.
thank you. Thank
We'll
you
be
all
there.
for listening. We will watch. We'll see you in 2 weeks. No Country for Old Men. This was fun, and we'll see you then. Thank you all. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.